Hello, everyone, and welcome to Modern Skills in English. Today, we're talking about something almost every student experiences, the quiet stress of a shared home. Specifically, how to solve roommate problems without having a big, loud argument.
I can feel my stomach getting tight just thinking about it.
Why is that, Mark?
Because I feel like I can't relax in my own apartment. My roommate isn't a bad person, but the kitchen is always a mess. Dirty dishes, food left out, and I hate conflict. So I just clean it up myself, feel angry, and say nothing. It just gets worse every week. I don't understand how someone can be like that. How do you even begin to fix it?
That's the question that traps so many people. They think the problem is the other person's personality. Their roommate is messy or inconsiderate.
Well, yeah. Isn't that the problem?
It feels like it is. Most students believe that to solve the problem, they must somehow change their roommate's character. But trying to change another person is impossible. It only leads to frustration and arguments.
So we just have to live with it? That sounds terrible.
No, we just have to change the goal. The goal isn't to fix your roommate. The goal is to build a system that makes the shared space work for everyone. You're not solving a person, you're solving a logistics problem.
A logistics problem. It feels much more personal than that.
Let's explore that. Think about the most common ways students try to solve these things. They drop hints. They might sigh loudly while washing their roommate's dishes, or slam a cabinet door.
I've definitely done that. I wash the dishes and put them away very loudly, hoping they hear it in the other room and feel bad.
And does it work?
Never. Not once. They just seem completely unaware. It makes me feel invisible, or like my feelings don't matter.
Exactly. Hinting fails because it's unclear. The other person might not understand, or they might pretend not to understand because the hint feels like a passive attack. The first shift is to stop hinting and start making requests. And those requests need to be completely clear and direct. They need to be explicit.
Explicit. Okay, but that feels aggressive. Walking up to my roommate and saying, "You must wash your dishes now." That sounds like a command. It feels rude.
That's a very common fear, but an explicit request doesn't have to be a command. The opposite of a vague hint is not an angry order. It's a simple, neutral question about the future.
What does that sound like?
It might sound like this. Hey, can we talk for a minute about the kitchen? I've noticed the dishes pile up sometimes. Could we agree on a system where we each wash our own dishes by the end of the day?
That does sound different. It's not about the past, it's about a future system.
Precisely. You're not saying you are messy, you're saying, can we create a rule for the house? The request is explicit, but the tone is collaborative.
Okay, I see that. But this leads to the next problem. It feels like I'm the parent making rules for a child. The rule is you have to do this. People don't like being told what to do in their own home.
You are absolutely right. And that's the second big mistake students make. They think they need to impose rules on the other person.
But we need rules, don't we?
We need agreements, not rules. A rule is something one person forces on another. An agreement is something two people create together. The feeling is completely different. Your goal is to find a mutual solution.
A mutual solution. How does that change the conversation?
It changes the words you use. You stop using you and I so much, and you start using we and us. Instead of saying, I need you to be quieter at night, you could try, I have to wake up early for class, so I need the apartment to be quiet after 11 p.m. What time works for you? How can we make this work for both of us?
So you're not just stating your need, you're asking for their input. You're inviting them to solve the problem with you.
Exactly. It becomes our apartment, our system. It's a mutual agreement. When people help create the rules, they are much more likely to follow them. It doesn't feel like a parent telling a child what to do. It feels like two adults managing a shared resource.
Okay.
So the request has to be explicit,
Not a hint. And it has to be a mutual agreement, not a rule I force on them. That makes sense. But I still have this fear. The moment I start the conversation, they're going to get defensive. They'll hear, "Can we talk about the kitchen?" and immediately think I'm calling them a bad person.
That is the most difficult part, and you are right to be cautious. The conversation can fail before it even starts if the other person feels attacked.
So how do you prevent that?
You change the focus of your words. Most people, when they are frustrated, describe the other person's character. They say, "You're so inconsiderate," or "You're so lazy."
I am definitely thinking those things in my head.
And that's normal, but saying them out loud will only create a fight. The other person's brain will shut down and they will only defend themselves. The key is to never, ever describe their personality. Instead, you describe the situation and its effect on you. You talk about the impact.
The impact? What do you mean?
Instead of saying, "You're so messy," which is a judgment on their character, you describe the facts and the consequence. For example, when dishes are left in the sink for a couple of days, the impact is that I can't make my own breakfast in the morning because there's no clean space.
So you're not talking about them at all. You're talking about the dishes and the sink and your breakfast.
Yes, you're describing a chain of events. Action A leads to consequence B. It's factual, not emotional. It's almost scientific. When the music is loud after 11 p.m., the impact is that I can't sleep, and then I do poorly on my morning exams.
It's so much harder to argue with that. They can't say, no, you don't do poorly on your exams. It's your experience.
It separates their action from their identity. You are not saying they are a bad person. You are saying their action has a negative impact on you. This allows them to hear the problem without feeling the need to defend their entire character.
Okay, this framework is starting to make sense. Be explicit with the request, make it a mutual agreement, and focus on the impact, not the person. But Sarah, what if it doesn't work? What if I do all this perfectly? I'm super calm, I use we, I talk about the impact, and my roommate just says okay, but then changes nothing. Some people just don't care.
That is the real test, isn't it? The follow-up.
Yes, because if you have the conversation and nothing changes, it feels even worse. You feel foolish for even trying.
This is where the idea of a system becomes so important. The first conversation is not the end. It's the beginning of designing the system. If the agreement isn't working, it doesn't mean the person is bad. It might mean the system is wrong.
What do you mean?
Let's say you both mutually agree to wash dishes by the end of the day, but your roommate consistently fails to do it. The old way of thinking would be, see, he's lazy and doesn't respect me. The new way of thinking is, okay, system 1.0 is not working. Let's find out why.
So you have another conversation? That sounds exhausting.
A much smaller, quicker one. You don't restart from zero. You refer back to your agreement. Hey, we agreed on that end-of-day dish rule, and I've noticed it's not really happening. Is that system not working for you? Maybe we should try something else.
Like what?
Maybe they have a late class and are too tired. Maybe they would prefer to do all their dishes once every 2 days. You don't have to like their reason. You just have to find a new system that works. The point is to be consistent in addressing the problem.
So you just keep having these calm, system-focused conversations. You keep trying to find a process that they will actually follow.
You do. Or you might need to negotiate a trade-off. Maybe your roommate hates washing dishes, but doesn't mind taking out the trash. You could negotiate. Okay, what if I handle all the dishes, and you handle taking out the trash every single time, and also cleaning the bathroom once a week?
So you're creating a contract almost, a clear set of responsibilities.
It's just a clear, shared understanding. The goal is to make the home environment predictable and low stress, and you get there when both people feel the system is fair. That requires you to negotiate, not demand.
So if I want to make sure the system works, I need to be consistent in bringing it up when it fails. But I shouldn't bring it up with anger, just with a question. Is our system working?
Precisely. You become a manager of the system, not a critic of the person.
And that system is built on a few things. The conversation has to start with an explicit request, not a hint.
Yes.
And it has to feel like a mutual agreement that we build together.
Correct.
And when I explain my side, I have to talk about the impact of the action on me, not their personality.
You've got it. That's the entire framework.
It's funny, when you put it that way, it's not about them at all. It's about the space between us, the empty air in the apartment. We're just trying to write the rules for that space.
What a beautiful way to put it.
It makes it feel so much less personal, so much lighter. The goal isn't to fix my roommate. The goal is just to have a conversation about how to make our home peaceful. It's a shared project.
And that is a project you can actually control.
I think I can do that.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening today. We hope this was helpful. If there's a specific topic or a problem you're facing that you'd like us to discuss next time, please let us know in the comments. We read all of them.